Hello everyone. We are here to discuss about the relationship of health law and gospel. Many do not understand that gospel and law are very important in one's health. Usually, when one has cancer or very critical bedridden disease, that's the only time when a person or a sick person remembers his creator. So remembers God. So now we will discuss how important are these three entities or factors to our holistic health. So, okay, remember that health comes only if we obey the laws, especially the health laws. And if we violate it, of course, we will suffer diseases. So, why? It's because man is inclined to commit sin. And without Christ, uh, it is impossible for him to obey the good laws. And it's because he has no strong inclination to follow the health laws or the moral law. So remember, we have two types of uh, laws. We have the moral law or the Ten Commandments and the health laws or the physical laws or the bodily laws, organic laws. And take note that health is not only about body. It's not only about physical, or we have also mental, we have social, we have spiritual aspects. So without Christ, what happens to a man? A man becomes drug addict. Sometimes he or she becomes a substance abuser and becomes slave to vices, juvenile delinquent, prisoner or criminal. So these are the things that happens to a person when Christ or the gospel is not taught in the family or in the home, in the school, and in the churches. So where do they go? So usually they are sent to the hospitals, to jail, to rehabilitation, or premature death cemetery. So what's the reason why? The sources is, of course, the family, the home, the schools, the churches, which do not teach how to reform Christ and the law. So you see how important gospel and law to our health. So that's the reason why we have a lot of crimes, wretchedness, and curse in the world. It's because the gospel, the law are not being considered, being prioritized in the home, in the family, and in different institutions. So again, this is very much important. Christ must be in our heart in order for us to have holistic health, because many of us resort only to God when we are bedridden. There's a saying, Bibles aren't allowed in schools anymore but are encouraged in prison. If kids were allowed to read it at school, they may not end up in prison. So that's very correct. So in the school, we are not allowed to open our Bibles. The teachers do not teach the Bible or the biblical characters or Bible stories. Why? It's because they say that it's a religion. But these are the things that may hinder for for students or for citizens to go to jail. So if only kids or children are allowed to read the Bible in school, they may not end up in prison. Okay. And that is also the reason why we have so many inmates. It's because Jesus said, without me, you can do nothing. Because if Jesus is not in our hearts, if Jesus is not the driver or the boss inside our body, inside our person, the tendency is to commit sin, to transgress the laws. So, if we transgress or violate the health laws, of course, we will suffer the consequence. Okay, another extreme, on the other side, there is extreme. Even though you are a health reformer, you are a vegetarian, you are following all the health laws, yet Christ is not in your heart, sometimes we lost our control. We become angry, and this is not also good. This is not also good for our social and mental status or health. So, what is best is, what's correct is, Christ must be in our heart, because uh, to follow the health laws and to follow the moral laws. These are the very important things to have happiness and also to have the holistic health. So, so it's not only being a vegetarian or taking healthy foods, fruits and vegetables, but we need also Christ in our heart. Okay. According to the Councils on Diet and Foods 441, paragraph 2, our artificial civilization is encouraging events destructive of sound principles. Custom and fashion are at war with nature. The practices they enjoin and the indulgences they foster are steadily lessening both physical and mental strength and bringing upon the race an intolerable burden. Intemperance and crime, disease and wretchedness are everywhere. So that's very important to follow the health laws. If we will not study nutrition, we will not study exercise, fresh air, water, sunlight, proper rest, temperance, and trust in God. If we will not follow these principles in health, then we'll surely suffer diseases, wretchedness, and other things that are not good. Many transgress the laws of health through ignorance and they need instruction. But the greater number know better than they do. They need to be impressed with the importance of making their knowledge a guide of life. So many are ignorant, but also many know also the truth, the health laws, the principles of health, but they do not find it as they are not serious in following these principles to make them happy. So what they do is instead they follow their affections, their inclinations, whatever is uh, that gives them the feeling of goodness, even though it's not in accordance with the law of our body and with the moral law. Then they will just do it because it's uh, delicious, it feels good, and it tastes good. So according to this passage, they must be impressed with the importance of making their knowledge a guide of life. If we will, uh, if we want to experience happiness and long life, we should follow the health laws. We should follow and be guided by our knowledge. There is great need of instruction in regard to dietetic reform. Wrong habits of eating and the use of unhealthful food are in no small degree responsible for the intemperance and crime and wretchedness that curse the world. So we need to study our diet. Many are eating still those that are from animal products. You know, take note today there are a lot of chemicals, genetically engineered feeds, antibiotics, injections that are uh, applied to or given to the animals, to the to chicken, to pigs, to cows, in order to have a mass production of their products, of their byproducts. So what happens to our body? We also suffer the consequences of this genetic engineering, especially allergy and obesity and different diseases in our body. So we need to be instructed in regard to dietetic reform. We need to change our diet in order for us to be happy and not suffer those pain, discomfort that many are uh, experiencing right now because they just eat without knowing what they are eating, especially the ones in the restaurants or in the fast foods. When man was created in the image of God, his law was in his heart, thus man was obedient. So originally, when Adam and Eve were created perfect, God's law, God's laws, the health laws and the moral laws were in their hearts, and they are following them. And take note also that God and law are the same in terms of their holiness, in terms of their righteousness, and they are both just. So was lost in him. So he became disobedient. So, this law was broken in our heart, or it was lost actually. So, it was downtrodden, and they are broken in pieces. So we do not have the tendency, or to we have the tendency to commit sin, or to do sin, to do crime, to transgress the laws. But it's written here, God's law is the transcript of his character. It embodies the principles of his kingdom. He who refuses to accept these principles is placing himself outside the channel where God's blessings flow. So if we will not follow the laws, we will be outside where the blessings flow. So if we want to be happy, if we want to live longer, if we want to live healthy without pain, without discomforts, then we should follow the laws. We should follow both the health laws and the moral law, the Ten Commandments. I'll give you an example. If you transgress the commandment about adultery, the seventh, thou shalt not commit adultery, of course, you will have a problem with your family later on, with your wife or your husband or your children. So it will create trouble, and you will not have a peace of mind. Therefore, if we follow this, then we will have peace. We will surely be happy, and we will experience the joy that God has originally bestowed in man when he was created perfect in Eden. Take for instance also the fourth commandment. It's the law of rest. It says, 6 days you shall labor and do all thy works, but the seventh is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. So man should not work 7 days a week. It should be 6 days only. One day must be a portion for his rest, and that is for God, for going to church. So if you follow that rule, you can remove those stress, extra stress, and you can have your body can recharge also. So, if you will just follow God's formulation or formula, if you follow all God's design, then you will get the best or the optimum health. You will experience the optimum health because God knows for us how to become happy. So, the reason why uh, the gospel was given to us, or Christ, the purpose of the gospel is to restore God's lost image, and it is none other than his law. So the law, or the lost image that is in our heart originally when man was created, is the lost image is the law, because the law is God's image. It says in Hebrews 10:16 to 17, "This is the covenant that I will make with them after those days, saith the Lord. I will put my laws into their hearts, and in their minds will I write them, and their sins and iniquities will I remember no more." So take note, the covenant that God will make to us is, "I will put my laws into their hearts, and in their minds will I write them." Because, a while ago you see that the laws were downtrodden, were broken into pieces already, and it's not found in our hearts. Therefore, God is doing his covenant. He wants to restore this lost image, and this image is none other than the health laws and the moral law. So God wants to write them in our hearts and in our minds in order for us to follow them and live them. So we will surely be happy and experience the joy and peace and love in God. Okay, so next is following Christ, inviting him in our hearts, and obeying his law will make us full again. So in order for us to be happy, both Jesus, or the gospel, and the law must be in our hearts. So another extreme, there are two extremes. On one side, the first extreme is they just follow, or they just obey the law without Christ. So it's not good. Another extreme on the other side is they just have Christ without following the law. So they are disregarding the law because they said the law is already nailed in the cross. So that's another extreme. So we have three steps of salvation, and this is very important for us to really experience the complete wholeness, because health is not only about physical, it's not only about mental, social, but also spiritual. So in order for us to be holistically healthy, we need to balance all these aspects. We need to eat also spiritual food, not only physical food. And we need to understand how will be saved, because our purpose here on earth is not only to live and be satisfied with the food, with the things that we are doing, because those things that we see, they are temporary. So next meeting or next vlog, we will see, or I will post this topic, what are these three steps of salvation. We will be discussing this in our next vlog. So thank you for watching, and I hope that you understand how gospel and law are related or connected, very important in our health. So in order for us to have holistic health. So thank you for watching, and take note, always remember that health is not by chance, it's your choice.